to another episode of the Play Loud podcast. I'm your host, Malcolm Ford, and I'm joined by three very special guests today. We have Matt Adams, Brad McMahon, Clark Joslin from a team that's been a thorn in my side the past couple of years, and they are with the Michigan Tempo. Guys, say hello.
Hey there.
Good afternoon.
How's it going? Happy to be here.
Hey, I'd like to get a quick rundown from each one of you, talking about more of your playing experiences and how you got to Tempo. All right, let's start with you.
Me. Before I got to Tempo, I feel like I've got a strange volleyball journey, honestly. I first started playing in college, just picked it up for the first time. I did club volleyball at Michigan State. Go Green, repping the brand today. Slowly started picking up volleyball in college, got into it a lot more, I would say, like doing adult volleyball, just like doing local tournaments and pickup and stuff like that. I played for Midwest MAC 2 years ago. I was just kind of like a serving sub, just trying to get any sort of touches I could get on the court and play as many events as possible. Played a few events with Tempo last year as well, and then kind of transitioned a little bit more full-time to Tempo this year. Played a little bit as a DS, a little bit as an outside, but more of a setter nowadays, especially now that my knees are worse. I can't jump like I used to.
Matt, how about you and your journey?
Yeah, I grew up in Western New York, so I started playing volleyball. We were lucky to have boys volleyball in high school, so that was really fun. I started in 7th grade. I needed another sport besides baseball, so I picked up volleyball and ended up really liking it. When I got to college, actually, I tried to be a basketball manager for Jim Boeheim at Syracuse, and then I tried to be a club baseball player. Neither of those things worked out, so I ended up being a practice player for the women's volleyball team, and I joined club volleyball. And I think from there is when I really started I was all in on volleyball. And I really kind of grew to love it there, I think, in college. And then I kept playing after I started joining some like adult leagues and, men's stuff and just whatever I could find. Still living back at home for about 10 months. And then I was lucky to find a job out here in Michigan with University of Michigan Volleyball. So I do all the stats and the video. Performance analyst is the title. So I get to work with volleyball every day, which is awesome. I love it. And I can't sit around and watch it and I'll be a part of it without playing myself. So I always want to play as much as I can. I was lucky to find a VLA team here, started a couple of years ago. It was the Huron River Hitmen. Lulu Bada was the one that started it, and she really got us off the ground. Did a ton of great work to get us competing and all that stuff. And then this past year, before last year, we'll talk more about how Tempo started. But then, it kind of became this team, and I've been a big part of it since.
Okay. When you at Michigan, do you get a chance to see Wisconsin or Nebraska play at all?
Yeah, we play against them, and not my favorite teams to play against, but it's a good challenge. They're good teams, and last year we went to Nebraska, took the first set, and it's a fun environment to be in. Especially Wisconsin's crowd is awesome. It's really cool being there. And, they get to come here. We get to host them too. We broke our attendance record this year when Nebraska visited, 12,000. So it was a lot of fun being a part of that.
Nice. And Clark, let's talk about you and your experience.
Yes, sir. So I have it's funny because my path is kind of similar to both of these guys in different ways. I'm a Michigan man myself, not the University of, but I was born and raised in suburbs of Detroit, Troy, Michigan. Grew up playing a lot of different sports, basketball, football for a little bit. Baseball was kind of my main sport, but kind of always was picking up anything that was around. So played a little bit of tennis, some volleyball, sand league, stuff like that. But not a ton of formal volleyball experience. And then similar to Brad, when I got to Michigan State, where I did my undergrad, I started playing club volleyball there. And, that's kind of set in motion this whole thing. I spent 2 years, my latter 2 years at Michigan State, I spent as a practice player for the women's team there. So that was a really great experience. I was in their training environment for a couple of years, just helping out with scout and whatever else was needed. And at the time, I'm still really new to volleyball. I'd only been playing for 2 or 3 years or something like that. So also while at Michigan State, I was the men's club president there for a year, and then kind of took the second, my senior year, my super senior year. I took a step back. One of our other buddies, he plays for 630 right now, but he helped us kind of start this up. He was actually supposed to help us start it up, and then he bailed on us. Damn it, Irv, or darn it, Irv. Anyway, he was the president. I took a step back, was the creative director there. So I was, really involved with the club for 2 years. And, we saw huge spikes in, engagement, whether it was on campus or whether it was, on the court, just got a lot of guys in the club. I mean, when I first tried out, there was probably like 60 guys, 60, 75 guys, and Brad can attest to this. When we first got there was probably 60 or 75 guys. And by the time that I left, we had 200 guys trying out for the clubs. It was just a really good experience in general to kind of see the growth of the club and see what, boys volleyball is now becoming, especially in Michigan, as it just became a high school sport, a sanctioned high school sport for, I think it's this upcoming season, or maybe it was last upcoming season, one of the two. But it's just still in its infancy. And so, we're in an interesting position right now with tempo where there's a lot of boys that are starting to play volleyball, but they just don't, have a lot of opportunities to. And so there's, some clubs have picked up boys volleyball, like Michigan Elite is a club out of Michigan, Metro Detroit. They do some boys volleyball stuff. L2 has a pretty good men's program or boys program. And Legacy does too, which is also, those teams are all out of Metro Detroit. But after I graduated from Michigan State, I went up to, I moved an hour north to Mount Pleasant, Michigan. So I think I'm probably the farthest guy on the roster from where we practice, but it's about 2 hours away. It's at Central Michigan University, where I was an assistant for 3 years. So kind of on the tail end of that, got my grad degree there as well. I did my MBA in data analytics. And then, while I was up there, just trying to find some ways to play. And, I popped around for a little bit, spent some time with Brewers, not a ton of time, but, played in a couple of one-off tournaments and stuff like that with them. And, the opportunity arose where, Lulu said she was kind of maybe taking a step back from Huron River. And so Matt and I kind of took over here. And so we're now in year 2 of Tempo, which is, it's been a really great year so far, and we're excited to kind of continue the momentum. So, yeah.
Yeah. I would say you guys have built some great momentum over the past couple of years. How'd you guys kind of get out of the shadow of Mac, Brewers, those teams, and how are you guys been able to really grow Tempo on its own?
Yeah, you mind if I take this, Matt? Brad, good?
You got it. I was going to suggest you.
Cool. I think with us, and Mac and Brewers and Micah, we were in a really interesting spot where, there were a couple of Michigan teams, and, I personally wasn't a huge fan of how many teams there were in Michigan, just because there weren't that many good volleyball players in the state. Not that there's not a lot of good volleyball players, but it's just when you're spread across 4 teams, it can sometimes be difficult to put together a team that's super competitive. So, in year 1, we really were just trying to survive, and kind of see what worked and see what didn't. I still think that we're, competing with those guys like Mac. We just lost to Mac at the Central Cup qualifier in a really tight set, third tiebreaker set. We were 2 points away from kind of entering that semifinal. But, we've sort of just had an emphasis on good organization over anything. Matt and I, we don't do a lot of stuff that just kind of goes off into the wind. We have a Google Drive that kind of has everything that, we need to know about Tempo, and just trying to connect with our community members as well. In the summer, we ran a lot of grass tournaments and kind of invited people out, paid some good payouts there. I think we gave away something like $3,000, over $3,000, over the summer, and just in grass tournaments. And that was over the course of 5 or 6 events. So we were shelling out a lot of, we were breaking even on these grass tournaments. It was good exposure for one, to bring in competitive players to play on the outdoor scene, while we weren't able to, nobody's really playing indoor in the summer. And then 2, also just to kind of have Tempo, community events. We're in the community, we're setting up shop in a field out there, and bringing a lot of people together and playing some good ball. So that's kind of been our MO, from the beginning, is just have really good player experiences, and and from that, good players will come. And I think, Metro Detroit was an area that maybe didn't have a ton of guys playing in the VLA. Mac is out of Concord, which is kind of in the Adrian area, which is, still a couple hours from Metro Detroit area. Brewers obviously is over in Grand Rapids. And so Metro Detroit has a ton of people and a ton of good players that were just either being outsourced to other teams. This year we added Zach Hobby, and Hobby was playing with Team Pineapple. We added Brad from Mac, it's a little bit closer for him. And, we just have kind of slowly grown. We didn't try to explode on a scene and be we're here. It was just let's put together a competent team for last year's Central Cup. We maybe didn't finish as competitively as we wanted, but we just have kind of slowly grown, over the course of our inception. So that's been kind of the Tempo story, I think, from maybe an organizational standpoint.
What do you think has been the glue that's kind of been able to hold you guys together and, keep everyone upbeat, positive throughout, the ups and downs?
I'd say probably Brad.
Stop it. You're too nice. You're too
I think
sweet.
Brad's our glue. He's the guy. He keeps us going.
I try to keep the vibes high, always.
No, but I think this is a good one for you to answer. I think you're definitely a
Me?
good vibe guy.
Oh
You're
boy.
competing out there every day too.
I appreciate that. It's important to keep vibes high. Important to keep good glue guys. No, I think, like I said, it's been a little bit different for me because I joined Tempo a little bit later than some of these other guys. But I think something that I've learned in multiple different VLA events is like keeping mentality high is so important. Like volleyball is an error driven sport and it's so easy to like fall in a pit mentally and like get so caught up on losing points early in sets and stuff like that. But another glue guy on Tempo, UV, said just at this last event, have a memory of a goldfish, forget things very quickly and get back and earn points and keep fighting. But so I think we live with that mentality a lot and we always keep vibes high, and that's what allows us to kind of keep in a lot of these sets, continue fighting. And
UV's like the
keep
guy.
vibes high.
UV's the guy that tries to break the glue apart from the other teams.
Yes,
He's an
exactly.
instigator. He's hilarious.
Yeah, I will say, one thing that you guys constantly do with us is, you continuously fight. We might get up, in the set at one set or two, and then you guys just keep fighting and you don't back down. When especially my team, when they're like, okay, we got this, it's done, whatever, they just kind of stop playing, but you guys just keep fighting. That's something I really, respect about Tempo and everything that you guys bring is like you don't stop fighting. You keep attacking, keep playing together very, very well. And, you end up upsetting a lot of people in, fighting and hanging around with guys and showing how much heart you actually have.
For sure. Yeah, appreciate that. And I think a lot of that comes to like, we know how hard points are to come by in the VLA. Winning a 5-set match is not easy. And so even if we go down 1-0 or even 2-0, like you have to win that third set in order to win the match. And so like, against you guys, like I think we lost that first set like 25-19 or something like that this last weekend.
16.
But, we had enough, we have a lot of guys on the roster, and that can be a blessing and a curse sometimes, but it also allows us to make some adjustments and, kind of try out different things in match. I subbed out for one of our guys named Hunter. He's a little bit more of a ball killer, and, he played great in that match. But we just know that, like, points are hard to come by in this league. Like, nobody is just going to, like, hand you a game and be like, okay, like, here you go, you won. Like, so we know that, like, we have to take it, at every step. And we also, we have a lot of guys that are from Michigan. And so, like, being from Michigan and not having a ton of that experience, like, we just know that we're never going to coast by on talent. Like, we have talented players, no doubt. But I think, being able to like you said, be able to fight and just know that, like, points don't come easy in this league is super important as a mentality for us. And we talk about that a lot of practice and stuff like that. So.
It's so hard to beat a good team, 25 times in a set and then 3 times in 5 sets. We were up 23-17 against Gold and then lost 26-24. Like, it's so hard to get those last 2 points sometimes. And obviously it's the same thing, but I like to look at it's the same thing against us too. We can be the good team. It's hard to beat us 25 points. It's hard to beat us 3 sets. It's it is a mental game. Like Brad said, it's tough. And like Brad said, it's like if volleyball is so stupid because, like, if everybody could just do everything right, first point wouldn't end because the ball would be up, nobody hit out of bounds, no errors, nothing. Like, but somebody has to mess up somewhere somehow for the point to end, and that happens every single time, and it's crazy. It's tough. It's tough sport.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me ask, what's been your favorite event to play in so far in the VLA?
I feel like we would all maybe have different ones. The Cup is obviously a really fun one. I think for, like, us as a team, we played in what was it called, Matt? The Dennis Lafava?
The St. Louis one.
First. Yeah, the St. Louis one. That was a really fun event, just being at a boys qualifier and having a lot of good boys volleyball there. Like, that was, we had a decent showing. I think we went 2-2 or something like that. But that was really our first event as a unified team, and maybe our first or second with jerseys and stuff like that. But, we went 2-2, and, we felt like that was a pretty good showing. I mean, our losses were to Jam and Gold, and, it just was a really fun experience, fun environment to play in. And it kind of set the tone for future tournaments. But I don't know, Matt, Brad, what do you guys think? What's your favorite event?
I like that one-off we had at Brewers. We just went there, took 3 points, a little point farm. No, I'm just kidding. They've been doing that against us. They've been doing that against us for the last 3 years now. So it's about time we start beating them. But I love for me it's probably the VLA Cup. I love being there with so many teams. It feels like we're a part of something important. And going from tied for last place finish the first year to doing a little better last year, it's fun. I really like it.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it's probably a basic pick, but the VLA Cup is awesome because like there's so many local tournaments, or like I would say regional tournaments, like the Central Cup and stuff like that, where there's a lot of like close by teams that go to those. But at the VLA Cup, you're getting teams from all over the country. So you always get to experience something a little bit different that you don't get through the rest of the regular season, which I think is super cool. Like the VLA Cup in Madison in 2024, my first VLA Cup, I think it was 24. Yeah. But that event was crazy. Like I had never seen like Lloyd Ball play in person. Like that was pretty nuts. I'm pretty sure that was the year that LVC and Pineapple went to like a set that went into like the 50s or something like that.
Who was reffing that match?
Well, yeah. I knew that.
Okay.
That's right.
I shouldn't put this out on the air because I don't want people to look back at our club history, but I don't know if that was the best refs set of all time. I went over to the table because I was going to work set 3, and I think that was set 2 that went that long. So I was going to go. I went over the table. It was like 21-19. I'm like, all right, a few more points. I'll do the score because I don't want to go out on the lines and get yelled at. I don't want to do down ref because I don't really know how. So I'm like, I'll do the online scorebook or the scoreboard or both. So I go over, I kneel down on the table, and now my knees, I think, are still hurting because I was there for another 35 points until it was 49-47. And I think it could have ended sooner if, Jeremy made the right call on the line there a couple times. Maybe if, I don't want to say any more names. I think Fur was there.
Fur killed it.
It was just, we wanted to see more volleyball. As a work team, we were making it happen.
You wanted to make history, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were going to be a part of history one way or another. You were like, we're in it for the long haul. That set was crazy because it kept being like, oh, it's done. And then like, it'd be like, touch. Be like, whoa, it's still going.
Chris made the wrong call. No, just kidding. Chris did a good job.
Yeah. Anyway, good times.
What what would you say has been your favorite team to play so far?
I can answer that.
Go for it, Brad.
My favorite team to play is Iowa Volleyume. I've had a lot of fun playing Volleyume the past couple of years, personally.
Let's ask, why is that, Brad? Why have you had fun playing Volleyume so much?
We always have tight matches, and I think we have a healthy amount of chirp, which is good. A good healthy amount of chirp. But yeah, you guys have a lot of good personalities. A few guys on your team that I know personally as well, so it's always fun to play you guys. But you guys do compete. You guys do compete as well, and I think we compete very tightly together. So not only are matches close, but they've gone the distance a couple times. So I've had a lot of fun playing Volleyume.
I would say, besides our own team in practice, because that's where we really get better, I'd say it is probably Volleyume because of what you're doing with all the media stuff. I love that the game feels elevated when we play against you because of the shit talk. I think it's fun. I love it. And it's going to go the other way at some point. Obviously, we've gotten away with the last 2, but it's going to go the other way, and that's going to make the next one even more fun. It's like I love it. I love competing, and I think that when both sides want it so bad, like I was sending messages. I was out in Oregon. That's why I wasn't there, but I was sending messages to our chat. Like, we got to beat this team. Remember what they said about us in this video, months ago. I was like, I love it. I think it's fun. So I really appreciate, I don't take it too much to heart. I just think it's a lot of fun. So it's, if we can do some of that too, if our team can put out some of that content, I think it's going to help the VLA grow. I think if there's more than one team doing it, it's going to help. So, if we jump on that a little bit, build off some of the stuff you're doing, some other teams maybe jump in. It's kind of like, I'd say you guys, then Mac and Brewers, like the teams we play a lot, that feels like we're going to remember it. And it almost feels like a series. Like, they got us the last 2, but we're going to get this. Like, we haven't beat Mac in a while. So, losing to them again in a close one kind of builds for the next one. So I love that there are some established, like, important games. Oh,
we got the instigator and
we're just talking about favorite teams to play. Who's yours?
Dang, I got a lot, man. I think for me, definitely got to be Cincinnati Attack. I think the other one was Beer City Brewers this year, especially. That one was a lot of fun. And then I'd say just like watching There was like Frontiersmen, but not like the first team. I'd say Frontiersmen 2.0. I think they were actually pretty good. Like their second team. Them, I'd like to say Mac's second team too. Mika. Yeah, those guys are all really fun to play. Definitely would say so. Yeah. How about yourself, sir?
Those are good. What's Cincinnati Attack, UV? What do you got with Cincinnati Attack?
Wait, what about him?
Why was that your number one team?
I don't know, bro. There was like a huge dude over there, bro. Looked like he was like straight from
They did
like
have a big guy.
I
That
don't
guy was
know. They got him
talented.
from like Lagos or something, bro. He was like 6'12", just nasty, bro. He was pressing fully over, bro. No, yeah, it was nice. Yeah,
So
Good.
you're
right on
gonna
the
go
own
through and say
2 point.
every team but
I mean, we
every
called
team
the
but
timeout. We
Volleyume?
were like, all right, avoid that guy. We were just like, know where he is, and if he's on the left, set the right, and if he's on the right, set the left.
No,
Like,
no, I wasn't gonna say.
he was talented though.
I wasn't gonna say your team because your right side scares me.
On my right side,
Yeah,
I
your
think he's
right
talking
side.
about
He
Ike.
scares me.
His name Ike.
Yeah, yeah,
Number 0.
yeah.
Is that
Number
what you're
0.
talking about? Yeah.
No, yeah.
yeah,
The guy's got a
he
cannon.
scares all of us.
He's got
Yeah.
a cannon.
No,
That's
yeah.
like that.
His thing is, he says he tries to put a hole in the floor every time he swings. So
It's
whether
funny because I
it's-
have the
Yeah.
opposite approach. I'm not trying to put any holes in floors. I'm trying to tip my way off the island.
That is
Oh,
true.
yeah.
I can confirm.
whether it's
UV.
whether the ball goes over the net or it gets blocked, it's going straight down no matter what.
100%.
He's got a big arm for sure. Again, I would agree with all of these guys. Like Volleyume is certainly a good team to play. I agree with Matt from like a socials perspective. You just put out a lot of stuff, and so we're constantly seeing you guys, and it's honestly really good for the league. So like that reach that you guys have is, that's big time. So like anytime we play you guys, it's like, all right, we're playing a team that's big time. And then I think like for me, anytime we play a Michigan team, because we are chasing those guys, those always feel like bigger matches, just because like, for when we first started, we wanted to be, the best Michigan team. GLVB is now defunct, but like we beat them at the cup, last year, or the cup qualifier rather last year. Micah, we've handled a few times. Beer City Brewers, we obviously beat this last weekend, and now we're still chasing that first MAC win. I'm not sure that we've ever beat them, but I think being 2 points away means we're knocking on the door, and so I think anytime you play an in-state team, it's a little bit of rivalry, and then anytime you play a team that you see a lot of, and that's why I think a lot of our guys like to play Volleyume.
Yeah, I can tell you when you guys were playing MAC this past weekend, you had a lot of guys that were cheering for you. We have a couple of former MAC players on our team that were cheering for you guys. There's a couple on some other Wisconsin teams that were cheering for you guys. So you had a good following that was wanting you guys to beat MAC this weekend.
It's unfortunate we couldn't do it for him, but one of these, I think, like I said, like we were 2 points away, and we got a lot of guys on the floor that maybe haven't experienced that type of tournament before. Our setter, that was his first VLA tournament. We had an outside that played in set 1. It was his first VLA tournament. Our middle, we didn't have our top middle. He went down against attack, and I think if we have all those guys, and the guys that don't have a ton of experience get a little bit more experience, and I think we maybe flip those couple of points and we take that win. But we're still chasing them, and I think we're the young upstart, and so it's kind of fun to root for us, I guess, because MAC has been around forever, and they have a really solid team, and they're now doing some different merger type stuff with, I don't really know what's going on over there, but they're taking Sam from Brewers is kind of now on MAC, and they've taken a couple of those guys and kind of combined into a pretty good team. And so I think like that for them is like, you're always going to be rooting for the underdog, and so I think we're perceived right now as the underdog. I hope that continues to stay that way to an extent, because I don't want people to start rooting against us. But yeah, I think
No, they're gonna keep it like that because
It's kinda,
what they did with Mac is that they took all of like the top players in Michigan from Mika and Brewers, and they wanted to make like Mac's like premier. Mac is like the premier Midwest team, and not us. So they hate us, bro.
And I mean, like, we were just kind of like, they did a combined trial, which is fine. That's it obviously makes the most sense to have.
Nah, bro. Nah. Hey, I'll be his anger translator. Screw all of that, bro. Nah, that's a BS. They didn't invite us, bro. Screw them. We got beef with them the most, bro. We like playing with you guys because you guys like get us better. But bro, Mac, nah, that's just straight beef every time. Screw him.
hey, let me know your next tryout. I'll go ahead and share it as well and double post it
sounds good.
to get you guys some more traction. That way,
I appreciate it. We got so much traction on that post. We post final score graphics, or we started to this year after every win, and the one against you guys had by far the most traction. We posted 6 in the weekend, and that one had like 10 times the views as the other ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we're the villains that everyone, likes to play and everyone likes to watch lose. And, it's I was telling the guys, I don't know if you guys heard it, like after you guys beat us, I was like, guys, we're the fucking Super Bowl. This and I counted. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There were 6 teams around watching that game. So yeah, it's something that I would say it's our fault because we do talk a lot. And we, post about it online. So, but we're here for it. So we'll enjoy it.
We like it.
So who would you say is your biggest rival? Would that be Brewers or would it be Mac?
I think you got to beat a team to call them a rival. So I wouldn't say it's Mac, but I think we're knocking on the door with them. But I don't know, Matt, what do you think? UV's looking at me crazy.
I think it depends on like how deep into it you are. I think anyone around here in Michigan would be like, oh, it's Brewers and Mac. But I think anyone who's like, if anyone like has a spreadsheet with all the VLA events and like listens to the podcast and stuff, I think it is Volume right now.
We've certainly played you
We
guys
played
the
them more
most.
than anyone else.
Unfortunately, we're like, we're to you the way you are to Mac. We got to beat you guys and consider a rival.
Yes.
You guys
But it
got
could
one
be like
last year, right? At the tournament you guys hosted. So it's not totally lopsided.
Yeah, it could be like the Bills and the Chiefs. Like the Bills are like a rival, but like they haven't beat them. Like I'm a Bills fan, so I'm like I consider the Chiefs a rival, and we beat them all the time in the regular season. We just can't beat them when it comes down to it in the playoffs. But like it still feels like a rivalry. I don't know. Maybe I'm not because like any of these could have gone the other way.
Yeah. I mean, I think definitely like, outside of Michigan teams, like you guys have certainly been the team that we've played the most. I mean, I can't think of another team that we've even played more than once outside of Michigan other than, I mean, we played Gold a few times, but
I don't think we've taken a set yet against Gold.
no. So, I mean, I think part of that is like how a lot of tournaments are set up. Like we are obviously in the same region, and so like we end up going to a lot of the same tournaments. And then when everybody just kind of does snake order by points, like we're going to be matched up. You end up kind of getting matched up with a lot of the same kind of people. Which I wish that there was maybe an updated format to do that. Obviously, points are important, but I just wish that there was maybe like whether they did 20-25 points or something like that, just to kind of get a different look. Because I feel like if we're always going by points, like one. And you probably are well familiar with this, like tier 3 teams are always going to be chasing tier 2 teams because of, cup events and stuff like that, like central event. I can't remember what it was last year, whether it was the Central Cup or whether it was something else, but like there was an event that was only for the Central Cup tier 2 teams, and it was GLVB, MAC, and Brewers. And they kind of did like a round robin, and each win was worth 3 points, but like it takes us 3 wins. And we just said, 10 minutes ago that wins are really hard to come by. And so like it would take us 3 wins to get, what a tier team gets in 1 win at an event. And so it becomes sort of difficult to like catch up to those teams from that standpoint. So because of that, we're always going to be sort of in the same point range, and we're probably going to see you guys, if we're at the same tournament again, I would almost certainly, I would bet dollars to donuts that we would play you guys again if we're matched up in a tournament. But
Yeah, I would definitely say, the points thing is what, keeps a lot of the same teams playing each other. But I would say, the good side of that is it does give you an opportunity to develop those relationships, develop those rivalries, those stories to put a little bit more meaning into the matches. So I would love to avoid you guys at all costs. I would rather play Iceman. I would rather play, anyone besides you guys, because there's just something about when we play you guys where it just doesn't line up for some reason.
it's a good match, though. It's always a good match.
Yeah, it
And I
definitely
agree with
is.
you. I think doing cumulative points is probably for the best, just because like, you don't want a team to like run in and then just have, be beating the heck out of everybody and getting, so I think cumulative points also rewards teams for being in the league longer, which I think is probably a good thing from a VLA standpoint. Like that obviously makes the most sense is to kind of reward loyalty to the league and participation and all that stuff. So it's a tough.
Yeah, I've thought about doing like proposing it to league or something, doing like a rating system. I think it's pretty common in most leagues. Like they even have it in like college volleyball, like ELO ratings, kind of like it's the same formula as they use for like chess and stuff like that. You beat somebody you weren't supposed to beat, you go up a lot. You lose somebody you're not supposed to lose to, you go down a lot. Close match, you barely win or something like that. You go up a little bit. It's kind of like a big transitive property of all the teams that they play each other and like who's the best teams based on like actual results. I'm interested in that. The only downside is like a lot of these tournaments, like teams don't have their best rosters. So like say somebody brings their B team and they lose, then their strength number is lower. Then they go play in another tournament, they bring their best guys, and now it's like it's not necessarily the best way to create like a fair ranking, but I do think it's better than the points in some ways. So I'm interested in looking more into that. It would take a few days to figure it out, but I just haven't done it yet.
This is all Matt and I do. We just sit around and talk about like theory, like
yeah.
like
Well, another thing,
theoretic.
another thing to go along with that too, I would like to propose is to be able to encourage some participation. There's so many teams that are only going to show up to maybe 2 events come May. Maybe they show up to the VLA Championship or the VLA Cup, and that's it. You don't see them all year. So, I would definitely see like to propose something like maybe you get just for showing up to an event, maybe you get 5 points.
Ooh, I like that.
To actually, hey, is the, travel worth it? The gas, airfare, hotels, being able to, yes, we're not going to be able to put together our strongest lineup at every single event, but just willing to take the risk to go. I think there should be some type of, benefit or reward for that.
That's what it's all about too. We just want to play, right? And that's I don't know. Some of these teams are like, I want to send our team to as many events as we can, as many events as we can afford, so the guys can play. Because that's the reason we want to do it. So I love that idea for sure. And a couple of years ago, we could have used that. We showed up a lot, didn't win a lot, so that would have been nice.
Yeah.
We would have been right up there with Brewers. We would have had a lot of points. We would have been farming.
Yeah, I would say, you're doing your part to help the league grow. I definitely see how it would be beneficial to give some type of, reward recognition for actually doing your part for the league.
Mhm.
Yeah, I got a question for you too. Do you do anything with like college clubs at all? I know we went to like a University of Maryland and DC Dynasty like co-hosted event a couple years ago, and I really liked how they did that because these college clubs are good. Some of the like we split with Penn State B, and they were good. And obviously, I know that from playing club. These guys know from playing club too. UV at Michigan, these 2 guys at Michigan State. Like it's a really competitive environment, and that's like a big feeder for these VLA teams too. Like a lot of these VLA players are club players, and where do you think there's more room to grow there with those relationships? Because I think we can really kind of take off with that.
Definitely, I would say, especially if you reach out to like the clubs that are in Michigan, as well as the colleges, they're more than willing to play, especially like right around this time because their season's going to be kicking up here at the beginning of January. So right now, they're getting guys in for camps and they're looking for things to play. So if you definitely reach out to them, they'll be willing to. Hey, do you guys know Chandler North? He runs Milwaukee Dive. He does a lot of stuff with Marquette. He has a couple of big tournaments that he hosts for Marquette that, a lot of VLA teams, they go out there, they play, they get to see a lot of the club teams and the smaller universities that are out there. As well as, we did a few things with a couple of the Iowa schools last year as well. So, the opportunities are there. You just got to, reach out to them and they'll be more than happy to come in for a scrimmage, maybe set up a mini tri-match or quad match, little tournament. They'll be more than happy to do it. And, a good positive thing is if those clubs are hosting the events, a lot of times, it'll be a free event. So you don't have to pay an entry fee, or you could just do like a fundraiser too, where you don't have to pay for the court costs, and maybe the winner takes half and then the school that's hosting takes the other half as well. And it'll give you the opportunity to, because their parents are going to want to come out and see them play the professional team. The local fans are going to come out. The students are going to come out. And it'll give you guys not only a chance to get that experience, to get that benefit to recruit, but you can also push a lot of your merchandise there as well.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. I was thinking about doing something like that with Michigan next year, maybe. And if you guys wanted to come out to that, I'm sure you could too. And all that's like, try to get it as competitive as possible for these club teams. Try to see how many of these like kind of Midwest, East Coast club teams would want to come out and play. There's some good ones. I can get the Syracuse guys out, I'm sure. Be fun.
Yeah, definitely. Let us know if it's a multi-day event. It'll be even better. So yeah, let us know.
So I'm
We
thinking.
usually like to go to as much stuff as possible. As long as it's not on any other big tournament day, we'll usually be good to do it.
I'd love
UV,
to see
you look like
all
you
your-
got something to
all your
say.
team in Ann Arbor. That'd be awesome.
I'm sorry,
That's all I gotta say.
couldn't hear you.
I was just saying, I'd love to
Okay.
see your team in Ann Arbor. It'd be awesome. I love that place.
Ann Arbor.
Like in the
Yeah,
Ricks.
that would be great. Yeah.
UV, I got a question for you.
What's up, big man?
You seem like you'd be the one, and anyone else can answer as well, but you seem like you'd probably be the most transparent on this. What team do you dislike the most, and what's your favorite team to beat?
Team that I dislike the most.
Respectfully.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Respectfully?
careful you.
Dislike? Well, it's tough to say because before I probably would have said Brewers, but they like the combination of like Mac and Brewers kind of like ruined that essentially. But now I'd probably say just Mac itself. And then favorite team to beat? Well, I got two. There's only one that it has happened with, and that's your team because your
Dang.
team's like really good. Don't get me wrong. Like you got some actual dogs, and so like I just see like most of the time like we actually step up and we're able to keep up and we get better towards the end. Um, so that's definitely up there too. But the one we haven't yet would definitely be Milwaukee Gold. There's a guy who literally looks like they're outside, like the guy with the mustache who looks like he's like a pilot or whatever. The black dude, bro, he's nutty. He's disgusting. I just want to beat him.
He's good.
Yeah, I definitely say like I want to beat them, but the only team that we have that's like gotten us better would definitely be you guys.
Yeah, that's Relia. That's his name.
No, he's a dog.
What's his story? Did
My
he play?
story?
No, Relia's. Did he play?
Oh,
some-
Relia's story?
Yours
Yeah,
too.
he
I'm
played-
interested in
I'd love to
everyone.
hear yours too.
He played D1 at one of those California schools, and then
Okay.
played overseas for a little bit professionally. He does, he's very big in the grass scene as well. But yeah, he's really good.
He's good. Christian
If
Perez
he's-
kept calling him Leo.
Playing outside, serve him. That's my little piece of advice. So whenever he's outside, just serve him. There you go. There's a little hint. I hope he hears
Time we
this.
playing.
And what about you? We're interested in how'd you get into volleyball so much, and how'd you start Volleyume, all that stuff? I know you do a really good job recruiting too, bringing guys in from some other teams. I think it's Jake is his name, the setter from Swede. He's
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
Some of these other guys I've seen from playing from different teams, it seems like even on the women's side too. I recognized Bailey from University of Iowa, and she went to LSU. It was
Yeah.
cool seeing her at the club. Like we played against her a couple years ago. Hey, I know who that is. So it's cool. Your recruiting is really impressive. So I'm interested in how you get all that together.
Well, when I started, I had a full head of hair, more hair than UVs, but this was what recruiting does to you. And see, as far as my story, I started. But I don't really have a strong, really no volleyball experience at all. I got into volleyball more competitively when my sister-in-law, right around COVID time, she went to play professionally in Germany. When she started playing more, serious, I looked into it a little bit further, and I started playing at I don't know if you guys have ever been to the Luau's, in the Chicagoland area. They actually have one next Saturday. So if you guys are down, feel free to sign up to play. We'll be there. But so we started doing those a lot more, and started building a lot more connections. And then I met Eddie, who was one of the outsides for us this weekend. I met him, and from there he was like, yeah, I want to get back out and play a lot more. This is when I started about 21, 22 is when we met him. In the VLA, there weren't that many teams at the time. So, he wanted to get back into playing professionally. He played for the NVA for a little bit. And so, we started talking throughout the years. And then a couple of years ago at Nationals, we, broke off the Volleyume name. And we went to Nationals, didn't do as well as we wanted to. But, we bounced back from that. And, last year I decided, okay, let's just go in, jump in the water, ice cold, rip the Band-Aid off and just do it. And so a lot of the guys that we had lined up to do it, they had already committed to other teams. And that's why, I don't know if you guys saw us a lot last year, and it happens this year, like every tournament we have a completely different lineup. And just because we had so many guys that were, committed to us, but, I just took forever just to kind of decide to just go ahead and do it. And, once I did, it just started growing, and, we've built a lot of, strong relationships, through different colleges, different players that we interact with, they coached, they have a lot of different, alma maters. And so we were able to, build those relationships there. And, it just kept brewing, and, we realized there weren't that many people, really no one was doing anything with social media. With the VLA, there was, we don't know what's going on really, in the league. The news doesn't really spread as fast, or, it's not out there. There's a lot of rumors. So, we reach out to different people like, hey, we heard this, is this, can we comment on this, et cetera, et cetera. And, people have been more willing to speak on it and allow us to, spread the message and confirm different things. And people have, reached out, hey, can you post about, such and such? Let us know about the tournaments that are coming up. Can you post our tournaments that you attend? So it just kind of, things just kind of spread out. And as far as like the recruiting aspect, we just, everyone that we play, I mean, we have a group of core guys like Justin, our normal setter, the more taller one. We have
Yeah, he's
a
been
couple
on
of other
this one
guys that,
a couple times.
yep, he's been on a
Regular
few
call.
times.
Yeah.
Jake Snyder, that was supposed to be who we wanted to be our setter originally, but he got the opportunity to play for Swede as a tier 1 team, so he took that opportunity, and we still try to steal him away as much as we can. But with it being the kind of premier division in our league, it's kind of hard to pull him away full time from. But he's definitely there if we need someone available, and we really appreciate the flexibility. So that's another option that we could use to build relationships and help us recruit. And on the women's side, I mean, all the women that play for us now are just flat out killers. We have so many high level D1 players from Florida State, UNI, LSU, Iowa, William and Mary. I can't even think where else. Oh, Texas. So I mean, it's just a collection of straight killers that one person knows this person, and they just start to keep going. We're still trying to get Maddie Skinner once LOV's over this year.
Good luck. Good luck.
Let us know when you get here so we don't bring our women's team once we start one of that.
So, like, do you guys know Asia O'Neal?
Yeah.
Asia O'Neal,
Yeah.
Jermaine O'Neal's daughter.
Yeah.
Arla Barrow was roommates with her in college. So if we make that happen, don't be surprised.
Get
So-
a big man out there too. Can we steal Shaq?
So still Shaq. I don't know if his knees work right. So
I mean, one of our middle blockers got injured. We
That's
need
right.
one.
You need one. Hey, let
We
me
would
know.
take-
I
We
got.
would take Asia O'Neal. Asia O'Neal could play for us right now.
100%.
Yeah, we'll take the big diesel.
100%.
Hey, you
It's
never know. He
Jermaine-
might do it.
Jermaine O'Neal's daughter.
Hey, LeBron's daughter is playing right now. So
Yeah.
we'll see how.
She's in
I'd
the
love to
park.
have
See how
my
he should
glorious
develop.
king on my team.
Yeah, she's gonna be good.
We
LeBron's
got,
daughter is gonna be filthy, man. Like the combination of size and athleticism from LeBron, and then I'm sure she's gonna have a similar work ethic too. Like if she wants to play volleyball at a high level, she's gonna be really, really.
Yeah, well,
That's
I seen
really
her
Really
exciting.
excited.
starting.
We got
I seen her starting her at libero. So if she gets that ball control down and ends up getting the height,
If she has court vision like
We
LeBron
got,
too, we got to get her at setter.
Yeah, right.
that is another, so maybe another pod, Malcolm, but I'd love to talk with you about who would you pick for NBA athletes for like your starting 7 in volleyball. We don't have enough time for that right now, but if you have a couple guys, I'd be interested.
yeah, definitely.
Steve Nash.
Yeah, we could talk about it in a couple weeks, but
Yeah.
definitely we could definitely connect.
Yeah,
on that
I
one.
think about that a lot.
Let's see. Let's get to a couple more things before I get you guys out of here. Tell me, what's the future of tempo look like? What's the biggest ambitions that you guys have right now?
Go for it, Matt.
Me?
Sure.
Well,
I'd give him a piece
I've
of
been vocal about, I'm excited to hopefully, 2 things I think we can and should do. Financially is our biggest issue right now. We have to make sure we can afford it, but I'd love a women's team and I'd love a second men's team and then go from there. I think we have enough guys that really want to play, and we got so many talented guys that can compete, especially as the league keeps expanding. Like it's going to get a little bit watered down. And I think we can definitely bring 2 teams that can. I think if we had our second guys there on another team, they would not have been at the bottom of this Central Cup. Like we had we have some guys that can play that aren't playing right now. I think that'd be a lot of fun. And on the women's side, there's a ton of really good players around here. Might have to try to poach a couple off some other women's VLA teams, but the grass volleyball scene, you see some of these women playing, and they're really, really, really good. And there is an interest for it. So we were thinking about doing it this year. It didn't come together, but next year I'd love to be able to do that. And then with our men's team, we'd love to just keep getting better. Our ones team, and just keep going to these big events. Being able to afford it with travel and all that stuff is kind of just, we're trying to work on the sponsorships, work on expanding our base there with our budget and everything. But I think we're in a good spot as a community. I think that's I jokingly call us the People's Club because we try to be likable. And eventually, I think we already are like that with some teams, maybe yours. Like we are kind of annoying already, I think, with some of our enthusiasm when it comes to playing. But I think in general, with like the amount of people we have supporting us. Like I see our Facebook likes and our Instagram likes. I see people that, we play with in leagues all the time. They're showing up to tournaments that we host in the summer, the grass, and they're buying our t-shirts, and they haven't even been to a VLA event yet. Like, I think it's really cool to have that kind of support from the community, and involving them as much as possible is going to be a lot of fun too. So being able to give back a little bit, but also just being as involved as possible. I think everyone around here just loves volleyball so much. Someone posts an event on Facebook and we got 12 comments immediately, not necessarily our event, just anyone's event, and people just want to play. So it's really cool to see that, indoor sixes, but also fours, outdoor. We haven't gotten to sand yet, but maybe we do something with that. I have no idea. I don't think there's a limit to what we can do with volleyball, which is really cool. I'm excited about it.
Clark, what about you? What are your thoughts and ambitions for the team?
I think Matt summed it up really, really well. I think like when Matt and I first took over and it was the Hitmen and we decided to kind of change direction a little bit, I think our first priority was to make our men's team, competitive. I think that, and I'm just going to use the word competitive because it's not like we were like, ooh, we're going to take over this team and we're going to win the VLA Cup. Like that wasn't necessarily our goal. Obviously, you want to be competing for that, but I think the number one thing was to be competitive. I've played in a lot of matches in club, in the VLA, in adult rec leagues where like we were not competitive. And so I think like being able to do something that is competitive in every tournament we go to, we at least have a chance of winning or being in the gold bracket, quarterfinals, semifinals, whatever it is. I think that was always our first and foremost goal. Like we kind of in year one, we kind of, like I said before, we were just surviving and kind of figuring out what we wanted the club to look like. And I think now in year two, we have a lot better of an idea. Like we have put a really strong emphasis on practice. Like this year, we do a lot of stuff based on, Matt obviously has a really good background in data and taking statistics and stuff like that. And so we base a lot of like what we do on the data. And, it's sometimes really hard to manage how many guys we have. I mean, we have 20 guys on the roster and then another 10 who are, a part of the club, but maybe not on the roster. And that can be really difficult to manage. But like with, the organizational piece and then Matt kind of helping out with the stats, we have 2 cameras at every practice for sixes so that we can get full stats. And Matt's kind of software that he's able to have through his university is really helpful for us to be able to be like, say someone like UV is like, hey man, I've been struggling on the left. I'm looking for some answers. Matt can pull up all of his attacks and send him something like that. And so I think like, our short-term goal is to be organizationally strong. And I think we've been a lot better at that in year two. Year one, I don't think that anyone would be like, yeah, they really are really organizationally sound, but I think now in year two, with a higher emphasis on those pieces of practice and communication and all that good stuff, budgetary as well. Like in year one, like nobody knew how much it would cost to run a VLA team. And then we charged a random amount and then we got into the weeds and we were like, holy cow, we way underestimated how much this would cost. And so, now in the short term, we're able to kind of make a competitive team. And obviously, like Matt said, we could probably put together a second team and field that in some events as well and be competitive. And then obviously the women's side. I think long term, I mean, obviously like with boys volleyball becoming a high school sport in Michigan, you gotta think about the youth and think about what that might entail in about 5 to 10 years, right? Like what will boys youth volleyball look like in 10 years? I think that's going to explode similarly to how it exploded in California and the Chicagoland areas. Like it's huge there. And I think a similar explosion could happen this way. Whether we're a part of it on the youth side or not is kind of TBD, of course, but we are kind of getting the ball rolling there. We've done a little bit like, me and one of our other guys, Jeremy, he helps us run this team, but we did a free clinic at our old high school. And so like, there's maybe something to be said in the future about the potential of a youth team as well. I mean, I don't think that that's really in the cards right now, but it's obviously something that like we're going to keep in the back of our mind. And if it formulates, it formulates. I don't think we ever try to press in our like, we need to do this. Like, we maybe could be a tier 2 team, but we also know that right now we're really competitive in tier 3. Like this last weekend, we didn't drop any matches to tier 3 teams and we didn't drop any matches to teams that were outside of the top 4. And so like, that's a really good benchmark for us right now. And, we'll just kind of take the progressions as they come. We're not going to kind of jump out to try to do anything that we don't think is capable of. And so, taking little jumps rather than one giant leap, I think is where we're at right now.
Yeah. Just real quick to add on to that, like what Clark mentioned with like guys coming into play. Like I think we want to be somewhere where guys can come and get better and just have a place to be a part of something. I think is really cool. Like from all the way top to bottom, if you can play a little bit, you can play in our practices, and I think it's a lot of fun to do that. I do like having the video tools, the numbers, stuff like that. I think it's cool to be able to provide that. Maybe sometimes other clubs won't necessarily have that as an emphasis. So I think it's a unique spot. I started statting our match yesterday. I haven't gotten around to all of them yesterday, but I downloaded the video from this past cup qualifier, and I'm through 3 sets right now. We're down 2-1, so no one spoil what happens, but I'm working through it. I'm interested to look into those numbers and see where we're at.
Yeah,
As always, tempo and 5.
It's always tempo and 5, isn't that right, Brad? Yeah.
Not this time.
We've had like 24 guys at our last 3 practices, so we're able to put together 2 really competitive courts of full sixes, and I think that's a really great thing for us, in year 2. And as we expand and as we get more people that are interested, maybe we add a 3rd court, and maybe we get enough to bring it. Just is we're really excited about where we're at and where we're going. So I think that's kind of fun.
Yeah, I would say you guys are on the right track, and hopefully you're able to keep this momentum up. And I would say everyone on the call, and just make sure everyone that's out there listening, guys, don't stop. You have a great attitude when you're out there. You're very competitive. Continue to buy in with your team, and I think you guys are on a fantastic start. And I'm so excited to see how you continuously grow, and see how high you guys can get up there.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
You should ask UV about our program philosophy of embracing.
Yeah, we like to touch each other. We like to touch each other before every huddle, and it's an emphasis. We got to touch skin on skin. Just get everything out there, just embrace and just touch, and just a whole lot of touching with a lot of men. So, it's nice. I love it. I love this team just specifically because of that sole reason.
Hey, just keep getting close. That's all that matters.
Yep, we give UV the opportunity to touch other men, so he's really excited.
Yeah, I get to touch 23 other men, so it's awesome for me.
But no, I mean, and I think like, a lot of that stuff is sort of silly. Like, we were at tryouts and I was maybe not full on yelling at people, but kind of being like, hey, like we got to embrace after every point. And people were kind of like, this guy's insane. But like, I do think that that's a part of the reason that our teams are, so invested in each other and so bought in, is just because like we are, we're trying to do things that, are, make us feel like a program, even if we're, just a collection of guys that are playing volleyball.
Touching
I'm
each
trying
other.
to get better at that. It's important. I got my attentional deficit. I see the ball, I go get it. I lead the team in rebounds after a point. Like I go get the ball every time. Like I'm not good at staying in the huddle. So
that's the worst.
There is room to grow.
Away after a point, he's like, I'm gone.
Yeah, I'm like, I gotta go get the ball. The ball's right there. I gotta go get it. We got the next point's gonna start. And then Clark's like, bring it in.
But anyway, we appreciate your kind words, Malcolm. That's really nice of you to say. It's been a long couple of years to get to this point, but we're excited for the future. And we appreciate you kind of recognizing that and letting us know.
And we look up to you guys as with all the media stuff and all the volleyball stuff, like everything the same towards you. Like we really appreciate what you're doing. And this is something I was hoping to see from teams like a couple of years ago as I was getting into it. I've never been able to do it myself, but I really love seeing it. It's like refreshing to see like the social media content. I love it. It's great.
If you guys have anything, any ideas you guys want to bounce off me, or need any advice, feel free to reach out anytime. We'd love to help.
Cool.
Join our huddle. We'd love to touch you too. Yeah, but anyways, I do actually have like a meeting to get to, but I will be leaving. Thank you so much once again.
We only thought you were gonna be here for 5 minutes, anyways.
Yeah,
That's a good fight.
All right, before I let you guys go, can you guys give a quick shout out to your Instagram so we know where to follow?
Yes. You can find us at Michigan Tempo _VLA. So MICHIGAN TEMPO _VLA. And if you're looking for us in any other capacity, you can find our website at www.michigantempo.com. We kind of keep a lot of historical stuff there. You can see what we got going on, from grass tournaments to indoor stuff, team stuff, all that good stuff. So check us out.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. We have the Michigan Tempo joining us today. And everyone out there, remember, play loud.
Yes, sir.